So over the years, I've got my hands on many different pieces of tech, and it kind of got me wondering recently, which are the ones that I prefer the most, or that I found the most helpful to use, or just generally the most fun? And that is exactly the question that I want to answer in this video, focusing especially on Apple accessories. So here are 5 different recommendations that I would make based on things that I've recently been using. Now, I've always had a bit of a weird relationship with wireless chargers because I found it a little bit strange that they ultimately aren't really wireless. You know, you still have to plug a wire into the charger, even if you're not plugging one into the devices you're charging. But I have to say, I've been using a wireless charger over the past couple of weeks from Acefast, which I've really been enjoying. So this charger, you can charge your iPhone 12 or 13, you can charge your AirPods Pro and also your Apple Watch, all just on one unit, which is nice to be able to store everything in one place. Full disclosure, Acefast did send over a free copy of this charger, but they didn't pay me anything to make this review, and all of the opinions that you're about to hear are entirely my own, based on my own user experience. So this charger is currently listed on Amazon at $47, although you can often find it, I've seen recently, at somewhat discounted prices as well. As far as power delivery goes, you get to charge up to 15 watts with your iPhone, so that's gonna take roughly like 2.5 hours to charge from 0% to 100, up to 5 watts with the AirPods Pro, which is pretty much the same as plugging in via a wire, and up to 2.5 watts for the Apple Watch, which is going to give you 100% from 0 in about 3.5 hours. So you are getting a bit of a compromise when it comes to the charging speed compared to a wired connection when it comes to the iPhone and then also the Apple Watch. So what are some of the things that I love about this charger? Well, I think first of all, what's really nice, except for the fact that you get to just put all your devices in one spot when they're charging, it's also nice that the charger plugs in via USB-C. And the charger also comes with an included USB-C to USB-A cable, so that makes that pretty easy. I would have preferred the charging cable to have been a little bit longer. I think the one that's included is about 1 meter long, so it's not always that easy to plug into charging bricks, for example, which are fairly far away from your devices. But, you know, it's not the end of the world. The build quality is also really great. There is a little bit of flex when you try and bend some parts of it, but generally speaking, everything feels pretty premium and certainly doesn't feel like it's gonna break in your hands. There are some nice accessibility features as well. I really like the fact that when you actually attach the iPhone, you can swivel it also 90 degrees so that you can have different viewing angle options depending on how you want to position your device. So that's really nice. And the design is also really cool. So if you just take a look at it, it mostly has this kind of matte black finish all the way around, which I really like because so many different devices that I have are matte black, so it kind of blends into all the different things that I have. So that's really nice. And I'm a big fan of some of the detail here as well. So I like the contrast between the black and then also the kind of silver color that runs around the rim of the base. And also I like some of the icons and the imprinting that you see on the charger. So for example, the AirPods Pro icon on the base, and then even things like the Acefast logo on the main part of the top as well. I think that looks pretty nice. And it also has these little rubber feet on the base, which make it really easy actually just to position the charger where you want on your desk without it sliding around loads. So that gives you a nice firm placement, and I think that's a great feature too. Now, it's not perfect by any means, and there are some issues that you should be aware of if you are thinking about buying one. So for example, first of all, the AirPods Pro, you have to be pretty careful about exactly where you place them on the base if you want them to charge properly. So you can't just throw them on there casually and then expect them to connect. You have to be pretty careful to place them right in the center of the base there. I also think that the weight is not ideal for me. It is fairly heavy. It's 316 grams, so that's about 11 ounces. And that's nice, but it's not quite heavy enough in order for you to be able to put your phone on and then take it off really easily with one hand without the whole charger just kind of coming with you. So it would be nice if it were a little bit heavier just to make it kind of one-hand friendly. And then there's also the length of that included charging cable that I mentioned. So I would recommend plugging the charger into power with a longer cable than the one that you get in the box, if there's a fair amount of space that you need to cover. I would ultimately recommend this Acefast charger though, if you're into wireless charging at all. I would say, although it's not the best for charging devices really quickly compared to with a wired connection, because you're dealing with things like the limitations of MagSafe, it is great when it comes to charging devices over long periods of time, maybe when they're sitting on your desk or if you want to charge them overnight, for example. So the second accessory I've been using a lot recently that I'd recommend is the Apple Pencil for the iPad. I've been using the second generation. I think it just kind of feels a little bit better. I'd prefer the design to the first generation as well. And it's great when you have to do anything like mark up documents or take notes and just really write anything down that you want. I love the fact that there's like very little lag when you're using the pencil. So in that sense, it does feel similar to writing on an actual piece of paper. If you have the iPad Pro or a similar model, then also it's really nice that the Apple Pencil just attaches to the side of your device, so you don't have to to stick it in and have it protruding out of the USB socket of any of your devices, like the first generation Apple Pencil. And what's really nice is the set of features like palm rejection, which allows you just to rest your palm on your iPad while you're writing, like you would do with a physical notepad, and then your iPad won't accidentally think that your palm is trying to write on the screen and just kind of mess up all of the things that you're doing. So that's great. Now, the Apple Pencil is not perfect, and one of the biggest drawbacks, unfortunately, is the fact that it is expensive. I am actually going to make a review very shortly on the channel of another stylus for the iPad, which is an alternative to the Apple Pencil at a much cheaper price, so do make sure you get subscribed if you want to see that. But otherwise, I think one of the things that I do find frustrating as well about the Apple Pencil is the fact that some of the controls are a bit awkward. So for example, you can double tap to switch between writing and the eraser mode in apps like Apple Notes, and that sounds really convenient, but I've just found in practice that it's not as seamless and responsive as I would have liked. And another issue is the fact that I've often found that the Apple Pencil has fallen off of my iPad many times when I've been traveling around and the iPad's been in my bag, so I wish that there was just a little bit more physical security there as well. The actual tip of the Apple Pencil as well doesn't feel like the most pen or pencil-like experience that I would have expected given the fact that it's so expensive, but it is still one of the best available on the market, so I would definitely recommend it if you are making lots of notes on your iPad. Now, sticking with the iPad, another accessory I've been loving is the Logitech Combo Touch, which is both a keyboard and a case for the iPad. Now, I have made a dedicated review video on the Combo Touch, so definitely go and check that out if you want to take a little bit of a closer look. But basically, here are the things that I love about it. First of all, the design is great. I love the kind of hard fabric material that runs around the iPad when you have the Combo Touch attached. And I just really love the material that it's made from. It feels pretty premium, and I think it's a good alternative to more expensive products like the Apple Magic Keyboard, which personally I just don't think is really worth the price. And I'm also a big fan of the build quality of the Combo Touch, so the fact that the keyboard feels pretty good to type on, it feels durable, it gives the iPad a good amount of protection generally, and yeah, it just feels very premium. Now, there are some things that I do dislike about the Combo Touch too. The first one is the fact that it does make the iPad a lot heavier, so actually that does have a bit of an impact on portability. It is fine for moving around when you're on the go, but it doesn't make the iPad feel as nimble and as lightweight as I would have hoped. Something else that's not ideal is the fact that when you want to change positions that the case and the keyboard are putting the iPad in, you have to often detach the keyboard and then kind of flip it around and then put it back on the iPad, and it just feels a little bit cumbersome. I would have expected it to be a little bit easier to just change positions. And last of all, there are some compatibility issues. So for example, Logitech lists on their website that the Combo Touch is fully compatible with many different versions or generations of the iPad Pro, but unfortunately, you're only going to see full compatibility with the most recent generations. So for example, something like the third generation 11-inch iPad Pro. So you'll see that the speaker grills on the most recent version of the iPad Pro are not exactly the same as in some of the earlier models, but the Logitech Combo Touch is really only made to fit that most recent version, so it's a shame that there's not more cross-compatibility there. But overall, I definitely recommend the Combo Touch. I think it is probably one of the best cases that you can get for something like an iPad Pro. Okay, the fourth recommendation I have is the paperlike screen protector, still again for the iPad. It's a great screen protector. I love how it improves the sound and feel of the iPad when you're using it with the Apple Pencil. It just makes it feel more like paper, hence the name. And it also kind of removes that sliding feeling that you get when you're using the Apple Pencil just directly on the screen of an iPad Pro without any screen protector on it. And it's also an easy to put on screen protector, and I didn't get that many air bubbles when I tried to put it on first time, which is great. Now again, there are some drawbacks. So first of all, it is expensive. It costs about $40, which is not ideal for a screen protector. It's definitely a lot of money. The screen protector is also going to make the iPad look a little blurry, unfortunately, so images are going to look a little bit less crisp than if you're just looking at the screen raw. And then last of all, despite the name paperlike, it doesn't unfortunately make the iPad feel completely like paper, even if it's a bit of an improvement. I think there still ultimately needs to be some more physical feedback to make it feel a little bit more like, you know, drawing on paper with graphite, for example. But I would still definitely recommend it. I think it's a good addition to the iPad, and it definitely improves experience overall, especially when using the Apple Pencil. And last of all, my last recommendation for Apple accessories would be the AirPods Pro. I think they're just a great pair of wireless headphones for so many reasons. First of all, the sound quality is fantastic. The noise cancellation I think is really good. It's nice to be able to toggle between things like transparency mode, which really lets you hear the sounds of your surroundings, noise canceling, which blocks out some of that noise that you have around you, and then also just something in between, which is something neutral. They're also really comfortable and they form a really nice seal with your ears. And it comes with 3 different ear tip sizes, so you can customize it depending on what suits you best. And I just think the AirPods Pro are so good when it comes to things like running or doing any kinds of activities activities where you're moving around a lot, it's really good because it gives you all the great features of a good pair of headphones, but still allows you to be really portable. So I definitely recommend the AirPods Pro. Just be aware, as with all of the other recommendations I've made, that there are a couple of drawbacks. The fact that it's $250 is, obviously a lot of money. It's an expensive pair of headphones. And then also the fact that the battery life is not necessarily the best. If you want to dig deeper, then check out my full review of the AirPods Pro, which I'll link in the video description. But in general, I think they're a great pair of headphones, especially if you're already invested in the Apple ecosystem. If you like this video, then don't forget to hit the like button and to subscribe so you can keep up to date with all of the latest news of the channel. If you want to see more content like this, then I'm going to have it linked here and also here. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll catch you in the next video.